We're following a developing story alert as a former Hamilton County Morgue employee is accused of having sex with a corpse.
It's a new chapter in a mystery dating back to August of 1982. That's when door-to-door salesman David Steffen killed 19-year-old Karen Range at her Roselawn home. He was sent to Ohio's death row. Steffen confessed to the murder but denied raping Range. That's where former morgue worker Kenneth Douglas comes into the picture. Douglas was in charge of checking Range's body into the morgue and now stands accused of sexually abusing her corpse. It wasn't until now 55-year-old Douglas was arrested on an unrelated drug charge in March that a DNA sample was taken and linked him to the semen in Range's body. He is now charged with gross abuse of a corpse.
Having sex with a corpse is clinically called necrophilia. It's considered a mental disorder that can be treated but never cured. Local 12's Lauren Berkerich is live at the coroner's office in Corryville with a closer look at this disorder. Lauren.
Kid, this is an act that is viewed as repulsive and offensive. The idea of having sex with a corpse is almost impossible to understand, but it is a mental disorder. Necrophiliacs often first develop the desire as preteens, and it can turn into an obsession. So tonight, with the help of experts, we're going to take a closer look at this disorder and what may have happened to Karen Range. More than 25 years after Karen Range was murdered, we learn Kenneth Douglas, a coroner's employee who placed Range's body in refrigeration, may be responsible for having sex with her corpse. That act is known as necrophilia.
What they will do is they will engage, put themselves in position to engage in sexual acts with people who can't resist. And this is one form of that. A dead person certainly can't resist.
Forensic psychiatrist Scott Bressler describes necrophilia as a severe sexual fetish. But it's not just about sex. It leads to an imagined relationship.
And they can go into their mind and fantasize whatever they want to fantasize in a very bizarre, obviously, way.
It's all in their mind. To a great extent, it's the same thing with pornography. The person in their mind is creating an imaginary fantasy relationship.
Psychologist Dr. Stuart Bassman has treated necrophiliacs and says in their mind it's a loving act. Hard to understand, yes, but that could mean Karen Range's rapist did not intend to hurt her.
In their mind, they believe they're doing something very innocent. Most of the time, they believe they're doing something that's not really hurting someone.
Kenneth Douglas worked at the coroner's office for 16 years. It could have been the opportunity he needed to act on his desire, and it could have been an obsession. Dr. Bassman says necrophiliacs often have more than one victim.
In terms of how many victims, most people can act out with a wide assortment of people.
So how does someone become a necrophiliac? Well, Dr. Bassman says it's a product of both genetics and environment. He says they often suffer from feelings of abandonment and that typically there is one major event in their life that actually activates these very bizarre feelings. Reporting live tonight at the coroner's office, Lauren Berkerich, Local 12. Kit, back to you.
Thank you, Lauren. Kenneth Douglas, due in court tomorrow, faces up to 18 months in prison if convicted of gross abuse of a corpse. He worked at the morgue from 1976 until 92. Prosecutor Joe Dieter says his office will investigate to see if there are any other victims.
The necrophilia accusations raise new questions about David Steffen's death sentence for Range's murder. Under Ohio law, the defendant is eligible for the death penalty in murder cases combined with another conviction like robbery, rape, or burglary. Attorney Mark Crumbine says Steffen's lawyers could argue that his jury should have never heard evidence about Range being raped, and the DNA is new evidence.
In the early 80s, there was no DNA testing. The first murder in Hamilton County that used DNA testing was 88. That was my own case. So before that, there was no DNA testing on murders in this county.
Prosecutor Joe Dieter says the new evidence shouldn't affect Steffen's death sentence. He says although Steffen may not have raped Range, he did admit to attempted rape. Steffen was also convicted of aggravated burglary. Either